You're listening to Mind the Gap, a podcast that explores the space between what happens to us and how we choose to respond. Each week, Michael Comyn blends Stoic philosophy, emotional intelligence, and lived experience to reflect on the quieter questions of life, the ones that often go unspoken but never unfelt. In this episode, Michael reflects on how we use, value, and sometimes waste the most precious resource we have, time. It begins with something familiar being placed on hold. A small moment, easily dismissed, until we realize just how often those moments pile up. From 25 stolen minutes of flute music to an ancient warning from the Stoics, this episode asks us to take a closer look at how we spend our attention and what it might mean to spend it well. Here's Michael.
It started with the music of Vivaldi. Spring. Not a concert, not even a busker on Grafton Street. It was a loop, the kind that was once smoothing, but now only serves to make your blood simmer. While I sat on hold to a call centre.
Your call is important to us,
said the robotic voice every 45 seconds or so. 25 minutes of this. Not being helped, not helping anyone, not growing, not resting, just waiting. And it hit me. This wasn't just boring. It was theft. 25 minutes stolen. And the worst part, I let it happen. Now this happened on, of all days, my birthday. One of those birthdays where you don't really count the candles, you kind of count the days left. And you start to realise the truth of what Seneca wrote nearly 2,000 years ago.
It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it.
We measure time so poorly. When we're young, time seems infinite. Summer holidays stretch on forever. But the older we get, the more time feels like it's speeding up. A cruel trick of perception maybe, or just reality settling in. Psychologists talk about telescoping, how our memories compress, how years feel shorter the more of them we've lived. Daniel Goleman, in his work on emotional intelligence, reminds us that self-awareness isn't just about feelings, it's about recognizing what we give our attention to and how often we surrender it without thought. And here's the kicker. When we don't consciously decide how we'll spend our time, someone else will decide it for us. A cue, a meeting, scrolling, a hold line with flute music. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly in his Meditations.
You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That's not morbid. It's motivational. It's a reminder that time isn't just short, it's sacred.
And here's the irony. My voice, the very sound I was gritting my teeth through on the hold line, well, it might have been mine. I do voice work, Irish Rail announcements, a few phone systems. So yes, there's a good chance I was being serenaded by a version of myself, caught in a loop of polite purgatory. There's something both hilarious and horrifying about that. Being trapped by the system, in a system I help support. A reminder that even those of us who should know better don't always escape the trap of wasted time. Now let's be honest, not all time needs to be productive. The Stoics didn't teach us to be machines, they taught us to be deliberate. Epictetus said,
If a person doesn't know to which port they are sailing, no wind is favorable.
And that's the point. So much of our time slips away because we haven't chosen the port. We drift, we scroll, we wait, we fill time to avoid feeling. We confuse being busy with being alive. Goleman's model of emotional intelligence gives us a compass here. Self-management and intentionality, two of the cornerstones, remind us that we can't control time, but we can control our response to it. We can choose presence. We can choose priorities. Modern philosopher Oliver Burkeman, in 4,000 Weeks, reminds us
The real measure of any time management technique is whether or not it helps you neglect the right things.
Neglect the right things. That phrase lives rent-free in my head now. Because we will neglect things. We will say no. The trick as we get older is to choose wisely. Choose presence over pressure. To choose creation over consumption. And to choose moments that nourish over those that simply distract. We need to reclaim time from the noise. We need to make it matter again. Now, that doesn't mean scheduling every second. It means noticing. Noticing when we're in the presence of something beautiful. Notice when we're stuck in a loop of obligation. Notice when we've handed over our attention to something not worthy of it. Let's pause here and ask an uncomfortable question. What is our time worth? We put values on work hours, on project deadlines, on deliverables. We get paid by the hour, the day, the project. But that's not value. That's just a transaction. Value is something deeper, emotional, personal. If someone offered to buy one of your good days, a day spent with family or laughing with friends or walking in nature, what would your price be? What if they offered to trade it for 25 minutes of hold music and frustration? We wouldn't make the trade. No one would. Yet we make it all the time, in smaller, quieter ways. The modern world tries to commodify time, turn it into a currency. But the truth is, once spent, time doesn't regenerate. There's no top-up. Here's Seneca again.
People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy.
And there it is. The Stoics didn't value time because it was rare. They valued it because it was ours. Ours to spend or to squander. Ours to notice or to ignore. Every moment we give away without thinking is a tiny erosion of that ownership. So maybe valuing time isn't just about efficiency. Maybe it's about integrity. To act as though your time has worth means you believe you have worth. And that belief can change everything. Here's a practical tool that might help. The Boston Matrix. Traditionally used for assessing the value of business investments, it can be easily adapted to reflect how we spend our time. Draw a simple grid with 4 boxes. On one axis, label it value to you, low to high. On the other axis, time consumed, low to high. You'll get 4 quadrants. Number 1, high value, low time. These are your sweet spots. Quick calls with people who lift you. A walk that clears your head. A podcast episode that sparks joy. Thank you. Number 2, high value, high time. Deep conversations, creative work, volunteering. These are worth it. They demand your full self and they give you something back. Low value, low time. Quadrant 3, small talk, polite duties. They don't hurt, but they add up. Left unchecked, they drain you. And number 4, low value, high time. This is where time goes to die. Endless emails, repetitive meetings, hold lines with music. This is the quadrant to decline, to delegate, to exit as graciously as you can. And here's the thing. Your time boundaries don't have to be aggressive. You don't need to slam the door. You can simply say, thanks, but I'm focused on something else at the moment. That phrase, focused on something else, is polite and powerful because it puts you back in charge of your time. Time wasters will always knock. They come dressed as opportunities, as duties, as distractions. They don't always mean harm, but they take and they take. And if we don't develop the courage to say no, we risk becoming spectators in our own lives. One of the gentlest and most useful things you can say to a chronic time taker, especially someone you care about, is this: I'd love to give this the time it deserves, and right now, I simply can't. You're not rejecting the person, you're recognizing the moment. And if we want to live fully, we need to get better at protecting the sacredness of now. The Stoics taught us not to fear death, but to let it teach us. Modern psychology tells us the same thing. Mortality awareness increases our sense of meaning and priority. So let this be your invitation, not to fear time running out, but to invest what you have left like it matters, because it does. The philosopher Alan Watts put it beautifully.
The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves.
We forget we're allowed to be here, to just be, to honour time not by filling it, but by feeling it. Sometimes the most radical thing we can do is to treat a moment as sacred, to sit in it, unproductive, undistracted, and unashamed. Let others live in distraction. Let others sell their minutes for cheap. You're choosing to be here, right now, fully present, and that perhaps is the best use of time that we have. So here's your call to action. Before the day ends, look at how you spend your time. Not with judgment, just with curiosity. What brought you energy? What drained it? What will you say no to tomorrow? And if today happens to be your birthday, or close to it, maybe it'll be a reminder that your time is yours to cherish, protect, and enjoy. Happy birthday from all of us here. Until next time, mind the gap.
You've been listening to Mind the Gap with Michael Comyn, a podcast about how we spend our time, shape our choices, and make space to think in a world that rarely stops. If this episode gave you something to consider, share it with someone you walk beside, or someone who could use a moment of stillness. And be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. Next week, episode 33 takes a look back, a reflective pause to gather what we've learned from the first 32 episodes. It's not a recap. It's a moment to reconnect with the ideas that have stayed with us and the ones that quietly change the way we move through the world.
And coming this May, a brand new companion series, Echoes from the Margin. In it, Michael explores wisdom from the edges, voices often overlooked, traditions rarely centered. From quiet leadership to unsent letters, from ancient teachings to modern lives, Echoes from the Margin is a new kind of conversation, slower, deeper, and designed to stay with you. Until then, thank you for listening, and as always, mind the gap.